Texas politics just got even messier. On one side, you've got Attorney General Ken Paxton, the state's top lawman, armed with legal filings and a mission to shut down what he calls blatant defiance of the law. On the other, Beto O'Rourke, the fiery political challenger who refuses to be silenced, claiming the system itself is being used to muzzle him. This isn't just a courtroom dispute. It's a battle for power, headlines, and the hearts of Texas voters. And the stakes, they go far beyond one legal order. This fight could reshape the political battlefield heading into the next election. It all started with a restraining order. Ken Paxton's office secured it against Beto O'Rourke after accusing him of crossing certain legal lines during a heated campaign push. The order, according to Paxton's team, was supposed to stop O'Rourke from making specific public statements and from engaging in actions they claimed were misleading or damaging. But just days later, Paxton's office says O'Rourke ignored that order. They point to fresh speeches, social media posts, and public appearances where O'Rourke continued hammering the same points the court told him to avoid. In Paxton's view, that was an open challenge, not just to him but to the authority of Texas courts. The response was swift. Paxton filed a motion for contempt, asking the court to step in and punish O'Rourke for what he called a willful intentional violation of the judge's orders. And that's when this political feud turned into a full-blown legal showdown. Paxton's legal filing wasn't just a routine complaint. It was a shot fired straight at O'Rourke's political credibility. In the documents, Paxton's team laid out a timeline of alleged violations, pairing dates, quotes, and even screenshots from O'Rourke's speeches and posts. They argued this wasn't a misunderstanding or a slip-up. It was a calculated move to defy the court and score political points in the process. The motion didn't stop at accusations. Paxton is asking the judge for serious consequences, including fines and even the possibility of jail time if the violations continue. His argument? If someone in O'Rourke's position can thumb their nose at the law without consequence, then the court's authority means nothing. It's a framing Paxton knows plays well with his base, portraying himself as the defender of law and order, even if his target is a high-profile political rival. But that strategy comes with a risk. Every legal jab he throws keeps O'Rourke's name in the headlines. O'Rourke's camp wasted no time firing back. His lawyers called Paxton's contempt motion nothing more than a political stunt, an attempt to weaponize the courts against an opponent who's been one of Paxton's most vocal critics. They argue that the restraining order itself is overly broad, vague, and possibly unconstitutional, especially when it comes to restricting political speech. Publicly, O'Rourke has leaned into the fight, framing himself as the underdog standing up to a corrupt system. He's accused Paxton of using taxpayer resources to silence dissent, while ignoring his own mounting legal troubles. In speeches, O'Rourke has flipped the script, saying that if anyone should be answering to the courts, it's Paxton. This approach isn't just legal defense, it's political offense. By turning the case into a free speech battle, O'Rourke taps into a much bigger narrative that resonates with voters far beyond Texas. And in today's media environment, the courtroom and the campaign trail are closer than ever. Once the contempt motion hit the docket, the story exploded across Texas and national media. Conservative outlets framed Paxton as the steady hand of justice, holding a reckless politician accountable. Liberal commentators, on the other hand, painted O'Rourke as a victim of political persecution, targeted for daring to challenge the Republican establishment in Texas. Cable news panels dissected the filings line by line, while political podcasts spun the drama into hours of content. Social media only amplified the divide. Hashtags backing both men trended simultaneously, with supporters flooding timelines with clips, memes, and hot takes. For both Paxton and O'Rourke, this media frenzy is a double-edged sword. The exposure keeps their supporters fired up, but it also hardens the opposition on both sides. And in a state where politics often feels like a full-contact sport, public perception can shift just as fast as the headlines change. When the case finally landed in front of the judge, the atmosphere was electric, part legal proceeding, part political theater. Paxton's attorneys came armed with exhibits, printouts of tweets, transcripts of speeches, and even video clips showing O'Rourke making the very statements the restraining order supposedly banned. Their argument was straightforward. O'Rourke knew the rules, broke them, and now had to face the consequences. O'Rourke's legal team countered with a constitutional broadside. They argued that the order itself was flawed from the start, violating O'Rourke's First Amendment rights. They also questioned whether Paxton's office was overstepping by enforcing what they called a politically motivated gag. The judge listened intently, occasionally pressing both sides for clarity. Every question felt like a potential turning point. Would the court see this as a simple violation of an order, or as a clash between judicial authority and free political expression? No matter the outcome, it was clear this wasn't just about one restraining order anymore. The stakes had grown much bigger. Outside the courthouse, the political ripple effects were immediate. Paxton's allies praised him as a principled fighter who refuses to let powerful figures skate by, using the moment to rally conservative voters ahead of the next election cycle. Some even suggested that this case could be the cornerstone of his law and order campaign messaging. Meanwhile, O'Rourke's supporters seized on the narrative of political overreach. They organized rallies, launched fundraising drives, and blasted out campaign emails portraying him as a target of authoritarian tactics. The more Paxton pushed in court, the more O'Rourke's grassroots network seemed to harden in its resolve. Political analysts warned that the case could backfire on either man. If Paxton loses, it could undermine his credibility and give O'Rourke a powerful victory to tout. But if Paxton wins, O'Rourke could ride a wave of sympathy and national attention, turning a courtroom defeat into a political springboard. In Texas politics, perception often matters as much as verdicts, and this fight was rapidly becoming a test of who could own the narrative. The judge has yet to issue a final ruling, but both camps are already planning their next moves. If the court sides with Paxton, O'Rourke could be hit with fines, restrictions, or even jail time, though the latter is unlikely. Such a ruling would also strengthen Paxton's hand in portraying himself as the enforcer of law and order in Texas. If O'Rourke prevails, expect his team to launch a media blitz framing the decision as a victory for free speech and a rebuke of politically motivated prosecutions. He could use it to energize not just his Texas base, but national donors and activists who see him as a counterweight to Republican dominance. Either way, appeals are almost certain. This legal saga isn't ending in the near future, and every new court filing will give both men another opportunity to rally supporters and dominate headlines. The real question now isn't just who wins, it's who benefits the most from the fight. And in the high-stakes world of Texas politics, that answer can change overnight. Beneath the courtroom drama lies a much deeper struggle, one that speaks to the direction of Texas politics itself. This case is more than Paxton versus O'Rourke. It's a collision between two political philosophies, one rooted in strict enforcement and conservative order, the other in defiance and progressive activism. For Paxton, a win could cement his role as the Republican heavyweight who doesn't just talk tough but takes action, even against prominent opponents. For O'Rourke, the fight plays into his long-standing brand as the insurgent willing to take punches and keep swinging no matter the odds. The national implications are hard to ignore. Both men are rising, or falling, in the eyes of voters far beyond Texas. National media is watching closely, and both parties see this as a test case for how far political figures can go in challenging or defending legal constraints during campaigns. In other words, this isn't just about one legal order in Texas. It's about defining the rules of engagement for America's political battles in the years ahead, and whichever way it goes, it's going to leave a mark. As the dust settles, one thing is certain. This showdown is far from over. Every statement, every filing, every court date will be weaponized for political gain. For Paxton, it's a chance to prove that no one is above the law. For O'Rourke, it's an opportunity to cast himself as the voice of resistance against what he calls political intimidation. The court will decide the legal outcome. But the political verdict? That's in the hands of Texans, and maybe the entire nation, watching this drama unfold in real time. One ruling could change the momentum of two careers, shift the energy of two parties, and set the tone for the next election cycle. And in Texas, where politics is a full contact sport, you can bet neither side will walk away quietly.